Welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the essence of culture, our experiences, and a healing journey that shapes our growth in family. Through heartfelt stories about marriage, mental health, relationships, and parenting, we create a space where you can find connection, understanding, and inspiration. Join us as we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time.
What's up, everybody? Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time. It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your number one embrace coach, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, the one and only
Angie Louissaint.
She is in the building. It is a new week. It's a new month. It's March. It's my birthday month. Ooh. Shout out to all my Pisces out there. Get your flop on in the fish pond, all right?
Okay.
Get your flop on in the fish pond and go with the current, because that's where we're on. We're on. And hopefully the current is leading us directly into spring, because I have had it.
It's icy
with this snow, man.
School delays. No school.
I'm telling you, people outside will say, well, you lived in Massachusetts your whole life. You can't complain about this. I'm not complaining. I'm just declaring that I am at my capacity.
It's different. It's different, though, when you have kids, because they keep canceling stuff. We got an email saying that the kids are going to go to school literally till June 25th because of all the snow days. Yeah, and they were like, oh, maybe we should cancel April vacation, because up here for all the Floridians, there's February vacation, which is a week off during President's Day, like that week. And then there's April vacation, which is like the spring break. So they were like, oh, maybe we should cancel April vacation, to make up the days.
I heard that.
But it didn't pass. So we're going to April vacation, and then we're going to school till June 25th for right now, because if we get more school days, they'll be in school past 4th of July, probably.
Can they do that legally, though?
Why not? They have 180 days.
It's a legal requirement for them to attend so many days of school, yeah.
And y'all might be asking, who is that random voice that we hear? But before I tell you who it is, go ahead and hit subscribe.
Hit that button right there. Make sure you get Roots and Rhythm into the algorithm. We are looking for Roots and Rhythm in the algorithm. That's actually going to be one of our marketing campaigns right there.
You sound just like Dr. Seuss, because I think y'all share a birthday.
Yeah. Do we?
I think so. They had Dr. Seuss week this week.
Okay, Dr. Seuss. You know, at my school when I was a kid, they used to I think during Dr. Seuss week they had green eggs and ham, and they would actually serve green eggs and ham. They would dye it, and I remember I had it and it tasted nasty, and I never read a Dr. Seuss book after that. But that being said, I am happy. Oh yeah, hit that.
For green eggs and ham.
For green eggs and ham, that it was trash. But I am so excited, so excited to introduce our esteemed guest. We're going to get to that in a few. Everybody's subscribing, so make sure you share this. Roots and Rhythm are still looking for guests. So if you want to be on season 2 or potentially season 3, make sure you hit subscribe, but also get into the DM, send us an email, and let us know what your story is so we can highlight it on Roots and Rhythm and get you in the studio. So Angie, without further ado, please, I can't contain myself. We're going to have a great conversation today about mental health, about advocacy. There's so many great things. I can't contain. Please tell us who our guest is.
So we have a very special person all the way from Florida,
the
West
FL.
Palm, yes.
Yeah.
So this person is my brother-in-law. First of all, shout out Emmy. You married a good one. He is a son, a husband, a father. He is a registered clinical social work intern. So he takes clients on. Go to Psychology Today and look him up. He is a sergeant first class sergeant.
Woo!
Don't trip me up, Army people. But yes, he's in the Army, the Lord's Army as well. Dhiny Mercedes.
Let's go. Welcome to the Roots and Rhythm studio, my brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
From another mother.
Yeah.
All the things. We could share brother-in-laws.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, that's cool. What's up, man? First and foremost, welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast. Brother, it's good to have you here. We've heard many great things about you through both Angie and through Emmy. So shout out to the family. We always love having family out here. Yes. And before we even get any further, man, thank you for your service to our country, brother.
Oh, thank you for your support.
Yes, sir. Love my men in uniform, man. You know, my brothers and sisters in arms abroad. Thinking about you guys, especially in these perilous times, man.
Yes. Oh, and
So
if you potentially anyone listening wants to join the army later, Deanie might be your drill sergeant because of your boy in drill sergeant school. So
we gotta get a
major
major we
pain,
gotta get a major pain
major
thing in here, man.
pain.
So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Who is Denny behind the uniform, behind all this, but
All the
also within it?
titles. Yeah.
Yeah, like tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Well, much like Angie said, I'm a husband, a father, a son, a brother. I'm very passionate about mental health, the reentry community. For those of you that are aware of what it means to be like just as involved or have an arrest or criminal history. And for the past 10 years, I've been on a journey down the path of helping others with mental health issues, helping them find resources, both in the military as a behavioral health tech, and now as a registered clinical social work intern, a licensed clinical social work therapist to be.
Mm, that's right.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. So how did you decide that this was the direction that you were going to go into? Like how did the service to your country and then the service to the people here as well in the more direct clinical route, like how did those two mesh together for you?
Man, there's like so many stories, so many things um that led to this path for me. You know how they say hindsight is 2020. As a kid, there are things now that I remember seeing that I was always intrigued by, you know, that stirred my emotions in different ways. Um, and just like recognizing like wow, this is something, and eventually growing and realizing like wow, this is something that I can legitimately do. Um, my first encounter with like a mental health crisis, I think I must have been about 10 years old, and we were at the bus stop in my neighborhood, and this younger kid, this kid must have been like 2 or 3 years younger than me, and he tried to crawl under the bus, and he was shouting that he wanted to take his life. And as a kid, like watching that, him screaming, his sisters and the security officers pulling him from underneath the bus, I remember just being like, wait a minute. Like, he's not that much younger than me. He's like the same age as my younger brother and sister. Like, what would make someone feel like that is an option? Um, and then fast forwarding like into when I was in college, um, my plans were originally to go to go into theater, be a theater major, and write plays, maybe make my way to Hollywood like everyone else wants to, and you know, and stuff like that. And and,
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
Alana's uncle.
For
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, and and I remember auditioning for a play, and needless to say, I didn't get it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. You know, and I remember the psychology department at Florida A&M being like across the sidewalk, pretty much, from the theater department, and being like, I guess let me check this out. And doing, I remember taking, you know, psychology 1101 and and thinking this is interesting. And then after deciding I was going to try the psychology major thing, taking abnormal psych, and I was all in after that. That was the first textbook in my life that I ever purchased that was like $150, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. And then I was furious when someone stole it from me when I was at work. Yo, we were all college students, so that's on me. I left it in the break room.
And we know, those college textbooks are, you might as well be finding gold, mining
Sort
gold.
of resale value. They were like, you know
Yeah,
what? This is rent right here. This book.
yeah.
Yeah,
Dude
I
probably
was gonna
sold
get
it.
at least $90 back from it because it was a hardback. They only
Mm-hmm.
had it in hardback. Yo, I was hurt. I was,
Yeah, I'm
I
hurt
was
listening
so
to it.
hurt.
Like
I
they
was
took
so
it from
hurt.
me, dog. Yo.
Yeah, and I have to say, like after I graduated from college, I kind of like I stumbled into um the field of like working at an assisted living facility. Um, and mind you, this was during our first what do you call it? That's right, recession. Angie, yeah, because we were starving. Uh, yeah, yeah, 2008, moving into Corralita Court. And 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 not being able to get a job, and the assisted living facility was like the closest psychology type thing that we had that I could do. So I was a med tech at a Alzheimer's dementia specific facility, and being there with people that were dealing with dementia. They were World War II veterans, Vietnam veterans, people that led these lives, and I didn't know anything really about dementia other than what I read in my abnormal psych book. Um, but yeah, that I only have for a minute because somebody stole it from me, you know. And I started to see like, wait a minute, this dementia thing, like they're struggling with depression. What are these medications that I'm giving them? Like these are people that lived like very fulfilled lives. I'm looking at them in pictures, um, their uniforms, or when they were in the service, or individuals that played on like legitimate like leather helmet football teams, like, and they lived like such great lives. And I meet their families, they're like, oh, you know, Mr. JJ was an amazing father, husband, businessman, and he helped, create this really uh powerful company that is responsible for the Xerox printers that you see in everybody's offices these days. And it's just like I was just baffled that, even with dementia, people can still be experiencing depression in that way. And I was like, that was like that first moment where I was like, I might have to do something else other than just giving these people their medications. It's one of those things where it's like you have this idea, people have this idea of what schizophrenia looks like or what depression looks like, and you don't know. Your favorite cashier at your grocery store probably takes all their meds and they look your idea of normal, but they have this Beyonce level type team and regiment in the background that gives you this person that is like pristine.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
it takes a lot of work for some people to be able to just live
Mm-hmm.
and do things. And like after multiple experiences, of that nature and doing hands-on work with individuals during deployments, um, and even sometimes the quality of certain therapists that I had the displeasure of interacting with, I was like, I gotta do something about this.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
for real.
I need to get, I want me some of this because if they could do it, I know I could probably do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just, it was like this thing, and it was just like, one thing after the other, like, it's just like the domino effect that kept falling. And in 2019, I went on my last deployment, um, and it was a similar deployment, Kuwait, Iraq, um, and we all know what happened around March 2020,
Hmm.
and I came home like April 2020. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get my job. I'm gonna go back to my job. I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm so glad to be back. I don't have to worry about helicopters. Da da da.
Right, right.
And the world shuts down 3 weeks later.
Mhm.
The whole world just shut down like 3 weeks later. And as those early months started passing, I started feeling more anxious.
Mm.
I started feeling more depressed.
Were you at the dementia clinic then at the facility?
No,
Oh,
no,
where
dude.
were you at?
I was already working at Career Source at that point.
Oh, yes, career source. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, I was
Helping
working
people
at
get
Career Source at that. Yeah, I was helping people that with arrests and convictions get jobs. At that point, I had already worked in the reentry field, working in jails and prisons as a case manager for roughly about five, maybe five, 5 years. And I went on to do that for a while
Mhm.
throughout the pandemic and some more years after that. But like that I had my own moments
Mhm.
with depression and anxiety, and you know, thank God for my wife and my family. Like I was able to get the space that I needed to be able to get right. And then even furthermore, I was like, wait a minute, you've been doing all this stuff with mental health in the military. You've been working with people in the jail and in the prison that are dealing with all this hurt and all this trauma, and you're not doing any of your own work.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You're not doing any of your own work.
Look at the man in the mirror.
That takes a lot of
Sure.
awareness,
Mhm.
man. Because oftentimes we hear about clinicians or people who are people who work in
Mhm.
this in direct service, and it you would think that the people who are giving the advice or people who are guiding lives are the one who are also doing the same for them.
No.
But
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've talked to clinicians and they've been like, "Oh well, I don't need. I'm a doctor, or
Mhm.
I'm a therapist. I don't need a therapist. I'm good." And there's no such
Run.
Yeah, run.
run.
Yeah, and you can't fill from an empty cup, right? Like if you're not in a good place, how can you give good advice? It's like
Hmm.
you're not there yourself to make others better. So yeah, I'm glad that you were able to do that, Dini, because that means that you're doing really good with your current clients today because you've already done that work, so you can guide them
Hmm.
to also do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what people need to understand. It requires like it's a journey. It's a journey to be able to get to that point where you understand yourself, and understand the value of making sure, as you so eloquently described, Angie, like, filling your own cup,
Mm-hmm.
filling your own cup,
Yeah.
so that you may help others, with their situations, of course, within, your realm of understanding, and, and even if it means pointing them in the right direction,
Right.
so there's so many things, uh, that just like so many dominoes and things that fell, um, into place that were, they were just like big time,
Mm-hmm.
like just so incredible, um, that were things that like kept me up at night, like in a good way,
Yeah.
and it was just like this excitement for it. Um, Going through grad school, I tell people all the time going through grad school because of all of, everything I described to you all,
Mm-hmm.
from undergrad to working at an assisted living facility to going into the army, doing clinical rounds for behavioral health there, then working in the jail and the prison with people with mental health issues, some of which were murderers,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. I've had some of the best conversations with people that have like, the most intense or scary type, arrests or, or prison history.
Mm.
And then getting into grad school, by the time I got to grad school, I tell people all the time, like, I really felt like I was cheating the entire time.
Mm.
Because you had
Mm.
that lived experience. People don't put enough emphasis on lived
Yeah,
experience, you know, because
Yeah.
you could be
yeah,
hella book smart, but then guess what? That's all you know.
Well,
And
yeah.
books
right,
can't contain everything that you can know, like out in the field.
right.
Mm.
Because just think about what I said about my abnormal psych book.
Mm-hmm.
That was my book.
Yeah.
I loved it. I read it and I was just like, oh my goodness, let me read about schizophrenia. Da,
Mm-hmm.
da, da, and I flipped to it, or let me read about bipolar and dementia. And then when I got in the facility, the assisted living facility with folks that were dealing with that, I was like, wait a minute, that's
You're
not
not
what I understood.
you're not presenting like the people in the book. What is
Correct.
happening?
So, I think it's interesting. I'm glad that you said that because the way that I describe mental health diagnoses to people is like this. And maybe y'all will think this is funny. I think it's funny, and I say it to my clients all the time. It's like buying a dress off Temu.
Wait. You got to break that
One
down for the
size does
audience.
not fit all with that team.
It, exactly. You buying a dress off Temu, you see the picture, you see what the model looks like,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and how she's wearing it. And I joke with them, and I tell them all the time, I'm like, look, Sally, you'll buy that dress, and I'll buy that dress. And let's be completely honest, it's definitely gonna fit me a whole lot different than it will fit you.
Mm-hmm.
People may be impressed by that little black dress on you, and they're gonna laugh at me
Mm-hmm.
for wearing that dress. And it's not good, bad, or indifferent, but depression looks different on
Yeah.
different people. It's gonna look different on your Haitian brother. It's gonna look different on your Cuban brother, on your Cuban sister, your Puerto Rican,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well,
uh,
to that point, Denny, right? Like historically, medical books only did research on white patients, white male patients.
yes,
So
Mm.
it's
yes,
like you go out into the field and you see all this, this different tapestry of folks. You're only going to see the textbook example on this small subsect when the world is this big. So,
exactly.
that's also another layer in like the whole medical thing.
Yeah. Because listen, I was telling I was telling one of my people that are doing their clinical field stuff for their grad school at my facility, and she was like, I asked her, I was like, what diagnosis do you think this person has?
Hmm.
He's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you think? They were like, I don't know, maybe they're depressed. I was like, no. And she was like, well, what is it then? She had plenty of time to look at this lady and see what was going on. I was like, bipolar one.
Hmm.
She goes, no way. I'm like, yeah, but this lady is from a culture where it's what you expect for them to be, like really upbeat,
Hmm.
very nice and stuff like that. So you think that there's nothing wrong
Mm.
until you start hearing like that outlandish language. I was telling one of my nurses that they're currently working on getting their RN, and she's Haitian. And I was telling her, I was like, Caribbean culture, we with the bullshit. We like the dance, we like
Mm.
to laugh, we always joking, we all got a goofy uncle and auntie. So for somebody from like maybe an Asian culture, they'll be like, you're doing too much.
Hmm.
Mm.
But for us, we'll recognize that there's something wrong with our family member. Maybe they're experiencing mania once they start saying something wild like, I'm God.
Right.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Denny, because one of the things that we're wondering is, where do identity, culture, and masculinity come into your work, or how does it show up at your work with clients? And I'm actually glad that we're talking about this with a veteran who's
Hmm.
also happens to be a clinician. I don't think I've met anybody who's a vet and a clinician before.
That's a
Um,
unicorn right there.
yeah, man, like you know what I mean. We might as well give you like purple hair and some pink. You know what I mean? Um, so the question is, where do identity, culture, and masculinity show up with your work with clients? Because to your point about Caribbean culture, and this, we talk about this a lot,
Hmm.
Andrew. Uh, in Caribbean culture, if we look back to the roots, of our Haitian, our African, our Dominican, our Cuban brothers and sisters, we have been so resilient. We're some of the most resilient people in the world. Liberation was born in the Caribbean, right? And what I've seen in my lived experience is almost an overemphasis on resilience, and there's absolutely no emphasis on recovery.
Facts.
And so everybody's tough, everybody's happy, everybody's good, but actually nobody's good. So I'm curious to see how that shows up in your work.
Well, first of all, as it relates to masculinity, um, one thing, the a perspective that I have on it is that as a millennial, like I've given up, and I feel like, hey, everything is gay, everything is
I was like,
gay,
seeking
and I
help.
have to
That's
accept
gay
that
as
now.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
I've accepted that everything is gay, and I don't care,
Yeah.
and I don't care. Um, and I know it sounds extreme, but the reality is that masculinity and even femininity is unique to you.
Right.
It's
So
unique to you. You have to be confident and sure within yourself about, you know, who you are, whose child are you, whose father you are, what are you representing in that? What are the things that are unique to you that you know that you're okay with and you love and appreciate about yourself? There is no one defined way of saying what is masculine. Um, it's about your personal journey. Um, However, as it relates to culture, you know, we know, about, the aspects of masculinity that we were taught as far as like being Afro-Caribbean, um, or just being like a black man in America. Um, and understanding that you're pigeonholed to this, like as you were saying, like this tough guy type of mentality. And what I have learned is that people often find peace a lot faster when they learn to accept themselves.
ooh,
Yes.
when they learn to embrace and accept themselves. I love it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's powerful because what I've seen, I mean, I'm not a veteran, but it's well documented. I was in the state police for 6 years, and it was based on paramilitary training. So a lot of the same. There are a lot of similarities in our training and our attitudes and the language that we use. And something that began to really drive me away from the culture that was in the state police was that everybody seemed to not talk about work outside of work, and that was troubling. And obviously, the state police, like many military organizations, are patriarchal in nature, and the women that are there are just there. I guess there was no attitude for or
Hmm.
against them, but the emphasis was on male leadership. And here you have these men who, by the dozens and the droves, are signing up to do these super special assignments. These, like, you got guys in working with violent fugitive apprehension. You got people working in, uh, you know, uh, uh, internet crimes against children. You got people who are working with the FBI and with the NCIC stuff. I know some dudes, Denny, that seen some stuff every single day. One of my classmates was in a SPDU, was a Suffolk County detective unit, and all his investigations were unattended deaths, which means he was seeing an unattended death weekly, if not daily. And one day I asked him, like, "Yo, bro, what's good with your unit?" He's like, man, it's good. It's a good unit, 9 to 5. And I'm like, I get that you have an admin schedule, but I'm asking, like, how you doing though? And he was like, "Oh, I'm good though. I'm good. What do you mean? Like, I like my unit. I like my sergeant. I'm not asking you about your damn sergeant. I'm asking you about you. Like, are you okay? You're seeing dead people every day, and children at that too." And he couldn't give me an answer. And so, it began to trouble me, Denny, because I I was very lucky that when I was on patrol, I wasn't seeing gruesome stuff. I've seen one unattended death. It was a shooting, and I think my brain kind of just blocked out some of the details to be safe. And because I can't tell you the grainy details of everything, but I just remember sitting there and feeling like I was out of my body, staring at this person on the floor who's been unalived, and he was my age. And so I'm like, yo, if we're seeing this all the time, veterans are seeing this all the time. I've some of my best friends. One of my best friends is a veteran, and he had PTSD, and he began acting strange a few years ago. And like you said, the language was just not languaging. Okay,
Right.
out of clear blue sky, he began saying things like making grandiose statements like, "I am God. I'm a wolf. I'm a tiger. I got to protect home." And it made me wonder, like, what is happening to our veterans and our people in armed forces that it seems like nobody's really getting the help that they need in the response that they need. So I'm curious to hear, what your experience as a veteran with that, witnessing that is.
So, one of my biggest frustrations is like, that the help, the help is there. The help, it is there. However, it it's never convenient or easy to be able to get to. Um,
Mm.
and that's why, like, you look at places like the VA, and they have outreach teams, they have clinical social workers, they have case management social workers that literally it's their job to go out and find those individuals that are at home, closed in behind a wall, and maybe they manage to be able to make one call to a suicide hotline, and that hotline says, ask them, are you a veteran? They're like, yeah. So they'll call the VA, or they'll call the police and send it to that person's house. Um, we're still trying to figure out how to touch all of the veterans from Vietnam that the infrastructure just didn't exist.
Mm.
Like we're still backlogged on those folks. And they're just starting to get comfortable with going to the VA when it comes to, as we call it, like, the modern soldier, the modern service member. Um, now it's like a lot of it's if you look at coming if you look at coming back from a deployment as you would being discharged from a hospital where there's this possibility for so many gaps. um that's what's happening because they leave, and maybe they get their DD-214, and there's no there's a process, but it isn't always consistent
Mm.
with their leadership in saying, "Hey, JJ, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to set up your appointment for this because now it's no longer us that's going to be helping you do this. You're going from an environment where everything is curated for you to be able to go and get your medication, go see your mental health provider, and that's if you're in a good unit.
Mm.
If you're in a unit where the culture is we don't talk about depression, we don't do this, like people are legitimately afraid that they're going to lose their ability to do their job in the armed forces that they love.
Wow.
So what they do is they hold it in. And then it's a lot like having a 45-pound pack on your back starting at the age of 19. Now you're leaving the service and you're 45 years old. You got knee injuries, you got back injuries, and that 45-pound pack on your back, you no longer have the support system to be able to carry it. and now you're carrying it on your own, and you don't have that same youthful body that you used to have. Um, and you see, and you see where your age really, your body no longer has the resiliency to be able to take, all those PTSD symptoms,
Mm,
and then that's where we get that, that proverbial, something snapped, something broke.
right.
Um, I encourage you to read the book by Bessel van Vanderkolk, The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Actually, I read that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Very good book.
yeah, and he talks about how veterans deal with PTSD and how your body holds on to all this trauma.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about somebody that I don't know, maybe they're one of those folks that are in one of the elite, teams, like one of the SEAL teams or something like that. And maybe in their unit, the culture is shut up, keep your head down, pull security. You don't have time for that. And then that person that has hundreds or even thousands of
What's
jumps,
that message?
you know, into raids and stuff like that, and then you send them away and they're supposed to live a normal life after seeing multiple, you know, deaths. Maybe they lost someone and then they come back and they were never taught that, like, hey, this thing right here, this is an option.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay that you're scared. You're it's normal to have nightmares after experiencing something like that.
Mm,
Um, some of us, like, it's this weird. I believe that it's this weird survival of the fittest type thing where, our ancestors, they survived these atrocities, and much like you said, Vlad, you were like, I think that my brain kind of like turned some of that stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have that,
mm,
that
Mm-hmm.
where their brain doesn't know how to protect them from that. And it's one of the unfortunate things. It's one of the unfortunate and also fortunate things for people that come from an ethnic background that has experienced so much trauma that, sometimes it can be you're arguing with your spouse and it's too much and you shut it out.
yeah. You shut down.
Yeah.
And then they come to you and they're like, we talked about this before, this and that. They're like, I just remember you yelling at me. That's all I remember.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And then Denny, with everything that, you have on you from all your clients and your soldiers and your um just everyone that you deal with work, how do you take care of your own mental health with dealing with everything that you do work wise?
Well, for me, I have my therapist. I have conversations with my prescriber monthly.
love to hear.
Um, I also, you know how I am, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work out.
Oh
I
yeah.
I have to work out.
You got your home gym.
Um,
He has a whole setup in the
yeah,
garage.
yeah,
I am
Mhm.
so jealous. That's my dream to have
yeah,
a garage and a gym
yeah.
in that order.
And if I don't exercise enough, my anxiety or my wife will kill me,
Mhm.
and Alana and Aria won't have a Theodini because
Yeah.
she'll kill me.
Mhm.
Um, you know, so I have to. There are days, Emmy is such a huge part in me being able to maintain my mental health because,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, she'll like come and tap me on the shoulder and she's like, dude, like you're being a grade A hole right now. Did
Mhm.
you work out?
Mhm.
How did you sleep last night?
Mhm.
I noticed that for the past 3 nights you haven't worn your CPAP machine. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Mm,
You know, type of thing. Like, and those are all those things that kind of like I described earlier, like, it's like we all have like the possibility to have like this Beyonce type level team
Mhm.
in the background that's going to make sure your makeup, you know, that you're beat to the gods, if it's your makeup, that you're taking your medication, that you're exercising, that you're giving the time that you know you want to give to your kids, you
Mm.
know, because it's kind of like, hey, I know you want to be a really good dad. Time to put the phone down. You know, it's family time right now. Work can wait. You know, I put pockets of breaks and things of self care throughout the day. I wake up first thing in the morning and I cook the same breakfast every day: egg white omelet, ham, cheese, onions, bell peppers, two slices of tomatoes, and
Your black coffee.
my black coffee.
With black
And I use
coffee, no sugars. Please tell me put
no sugar. Yeah,
no
black coffee,
sugar.
no
No sugar.
sugar.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! So that must be that really good dark roasted because I like black coffee, and if it's really good premium
Mm.
black coffee, you can have it with no sugar. Julie thinks
It's
I'm a psychopath.
Bustelo.
Who?
The coffee, Bustelo. It's
Oh,
espresso.
Bustelo
oh,
espresso.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, I like me some
Yeah.
black coffee, man, because I don't like all that cream
Yeah.
and sugar.
I yeah, I've learned to enjoy the ritual of those things that I love. I think it's so funny, Angie, like the last time that we went to go visit y'all,
Mm-hmm.
like I see it in Wallace as well too.
Oh, mm-hmm.
For him, it's like it's a whole ritual. He
Oh,
like
yeah.
he gets he puts on a certain, you know, he gets comfortable. He has on his socks and his
He's
shoes.
very Mr. Rogers, okay? Because when he
Yes,
gets home, he puts on his house shoes, he puts on his house outfit, his
Mhm.
lounge
yeah,
wear, and the same
yes.
thing, he's very ritualistic when it comes to like working out. He wakes up at 3:30
Mm,
in the morning to work out before the girls get up because he
Mhm.
knows in the morning they want Papi. They don't want
Mhm.
me. When he's not there, it's like, where's Papi? Where's my Papi? So it's like he knows that he has to be home for them in the morning. And not
yeah,
because like I need him there. It's because the girls need him there. So
yeah,
yeah, you guys are very regimented, which is good because that does help with your mental health. You have a routine.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it does. Yeah.
yeah, so you know, like you see stuff like that, and like seeing Wallace in his element,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing that and being like, you know what, like I'm glad that I can see in another person, you know, like that's my bro. Like he has his own routine, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not just me that needs it. Like, you know, I need to do this
Mm-hmm.
for me. And when he comes visits, he goes in my gym and he does his
Yeah.
push up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, he takes care of himself. And it's like, you know, it we need to normalize letting people have
The
their
outlet.
space.
Mm-hmm.
Let them
Mm.
have their space. Let
Yeah.
them do their thing. Our grandparents had their knitting and their baking, and you know, and they're feeding the chickens. Dude, let them scrapbook. Let them scrapbook. Let them do what they got to do. Give them their 2 hours or 3 hours that they need.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about that a lot here. It's like people need their own space in order for them to come together in their coupling and be able to be a good spouse partner because you can't just be all about that person.
All the
I don't
time.
all
Hmm.
the time,
Hmm.
so it's like you need your own space to do you and then come and be with your cup
Hmm.
full in order to give in the relationship. So yes,
Yeah.
very.
And I'm glad
Yeah.
you
And
talked about routines, right, for men, because on the surface, what I realized before crisis and after crisis is that before crisis, the superficiality of those relationships didn't really, and I had a routine. I was a workout fiend
same.
before crisis. And I
Yeah.
love to work out. I worked out. I was up at 4 o'clock. I was in the gym
Mm-hmm.
at 4 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
5 o'clock this morning, actually. And it made me remember, like, man, all those years that I didn't know that I was dealing with depression and undiagnosed ADHD, I was always in the gym. And that was the protective factor because if I didn't have that surge of dopamine, that feel good, and that routine, that predictability,
Hmm.
I probably would have been at the mercy of whatever unresolved trauma there was in my brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the superficiality of the relationships that I realized I had did not help me avoid crisis.
Right.
And so after that, I had no choice, right, Denny, but to create a diverse system of support that not only could be predictable in when and if I fell into a crisis situation again, if for some reason I wasn't taking care of my mental health, if for some reason I wasn't taking my medication, or I just fell off the face of the planet because that's just how I learned to cope.
Hmm.
That people just check in, like people calling me, and I don't sometimes I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes I don't want to be called. I don't want to
Yeah.
be bothered. I want to text you back. I
Fair.
just, especially if I'm going through it, like I have all these tools at my disposal, but my default for so many years has been to isolate, be quiet, and cope
Mm-hmm.
however I can. Get it how you live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at this and so anyway, so my question is for you, as we talk about, because you mentioned men, as we talk about men, Wallace coming to your gym and enacting his routine and you doing the routine, how important is it for men to have predictability, especially those who are dealing with PTSD, dealing with your mental health issues? How important is predictability in that routine for your success for your clients?
Listen, it's imperative.
Mm.
Just 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 the sample group that I can give you at my facility right now, the majority of the people in my facility are men. And we have facilities because it gives what is required, the structure, predictability.
Mm.
It gives them a microcosm of what the real world is like, right down to the point of diversity. And people, one person could be dealing with depression, another person could be dealing with psychosis, another person could be dealing with PTSD, and you all still have to live together. You still have to go and take your medications. You still have to lean on each other for support in the therapeutic community. It's important. It's important to know where your resources are. It's just as important as, you know, Angie leaving this evening and knowing that she's going to be able to back out her vehicle and get home safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's that important. It's literally foundation. It's foundational. Food, water, shelter. It's just as important as those things. None of those things are going to work or even happen if you don't have a sense of predictability. As human beings, we fight to create predictability. For goodness sake, we have temperature control indoors
God forbid I'm too hot. Okay.
because
Answer
we
me coming at
require
Anthony.
predictability. We require predictability. It's important, not just for men, but everybody, but men especially. They think that they can just get up and say, "Oh, this week I'm gonna be running a hot dog stand," and then at the end of the month, all of a sudden now know like I'm a mechanic. Like it's chaotic, and you don't even get a good idea. It doesn't give you the opportunity to learn who you are in
Mm.
that position.
Mm-hmm.
Like being a husband, like that requires consistency, being there, talking to them, having the difficult conversations, working out those very same muscles that, well, not even those very same muscles. It's a lot like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
If I know that I struggle talking to my wife about finances, then it means I have to continue to have conversations with my wife about finances
Yeah. Mm.
and working that muscle so that I know and I have a sense of predictability on how we can talk about this without me getting upset, without her getting upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many facets of the predictability that's important, but because we have adverse experience, possibly traumatic experiences, we run
Mm-hmm.
and we don't
Mm.
give ourselves the opportunity to work through that discomfort. I tell my patients all the time, dude, human beings, we're weird and we're
Yeah.
awkward.
We're weird, all right,
Mm-hmm.
dude. We're weird.
We're awkward. We make everything so super awkward. I can remember being in college, and even like I remember the first time going to Angie's apartment, um, with my wife, and it just being like kind of like clunky and weird. And mind you, I technically know Angie. I've technically known Angie longer than I've known Emmy,
I
and it was
introduced
still
them.
weird.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You did mention that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it was a new dynamic now. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like it was
You
kind of like
dated my
clunky.
sister.
Yeah, right. type thing. So like, you work through that, but it would have just stayed weird
Yeah.
if if we wouldn't have had conversations and been like, yeah, da da da, don't hurt my sister,
Mhm.
type of things, and being like, Angie, I'm a good dude, da da da, and being like, yeah, I know, but still, I'll kill you,
Right.
and just and moving
Mm-hmm.
through those conversations and being able to be like, okay, it's okay,
I
Yeah.
kill you.
and being able to have just sit in that in the uncomfortable is really important. I have a friend, he's also a therapist. His name is Jay, and his whole thing is sit in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I need you to sit in
Yeah.
it.
But that's so true, Denny. Like, what I hate the most is people that run from their problems. It's like, bro, face it head on. Though you're not gonna die. Like nothing, any
Yeah.
conversation that you're gonna have, the end result is never gonna be death. And that's like what you should fear. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like you gotta go through it to get through it. Or what's the saying? It's something like that. To get
Yeah.
over it, you gotta go through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think what's important to remember about that too is because I had to learn this with my own communication with my wife is I was the avoider.
Mm-hmm.
When there was a difficult conversation, I didn't want to have it. Um, and I would have problems. I would have grievances. I would have qualms. I would have needs. And I wouldn't communicate those needs. And I had to reckon with the fact that I didn't do that. And so when Jules would ask me, I'd say, and she kept and you might know this, Denny, but my wife's a social worker, so she knows exactly what questions to ask without making it look like she's asking questions. I'm like, will you
Oh
stop
Yeah.
yeah.
dissecting me?
She be doing that a lot.
Yeah, and she's very good at it.
She's
Okay,
good. And you're like, oh, this girl talk. No, she's diagnosing you guys.
no, and she is really really good at it, and nobody had asked me questions like that before. And what
Mm-hmm.
I realized is that I was avoiding conversations, difficult conversations, because I was afraid. I thought in my mind, from my trauma, what my trauma taught me was, if I say something that is difficult for both of us or difficult for you to answer, you might just leave.
Yeah.
And if you have if you have
Mm.
abandonment wounds, the worst thing in your life is revisiting that trauma of somebody leaving you
Yeah.
behind.
Fair.
And so, so there's a reason, but to your point,
Mm-hmm.
getting better and engaging in that sort of therapy and in that intervention is realizing when you should be on alert and
Mm-hmm.
when you should relax.
Yeah.
Because my
Yes.
wife was not my enemy.
Mm-hmm.
She
We're
was
on the
not
same
abandoning me.
team.
She
Yeah.
was not my daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But in those moments where I felt like, I really want to say something, I froze because I didn't want to be abandoned again.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Mm.
yeah, man, it's really it's fascinating how that work.
Yeah.
But you got to have that work, and I'm glad that you have friends that are not only that could pour into you, but that also know the feel. Who be like, hey, yo, Denny, bro, just go sit in that.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot, Denny, about Emmy and you being a husband, and a father. So, how does being a husband and father, how has it influenced the way that you view emotional health?
Mm,
Man, listen. It. I know that you probably hear it a lot in therapy, and we talk about like emotional regulation, but being a father and a husband, being a decent human being, emotional health and understanding and allowing yourself to feel your feelings without projecting
Mm-hmm.
is imperative because you know our babies, our kids, we may see something in them that reminds us of a path that we went down that hurt us, and we don't want that hurt for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we react, much like Vlad said, might come from a place of hurt. It may come from a wound. So if the way that, maybe it's not that you clam up and you don't say anything. Maybe you yell.
No,
mm,
that's me.
Maybe it,
mm.
maybe, maybe, maybe you don't even yell. Maybe if you feel afraid that someone's gonna leave you, you lie.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, ooh.
Yep.
Because it's like if I'm honest, every time I've been honest, I've been hurt
Mm,
emotionally. Like I haven't felt safe enough to be honest. So allowing them to feel their feelings, allowing people to have their human moment, their human reactions. I tell people all the time when they're sitting across from me, I tell them, like, look, I'll give you your first thought and your first reaction. You can have that. Heck, I'll even give you the second one. The third one is an opportunity for you to get the time to figure out what is the best way for you to communicate or convey what you're feeling without hurting someone
Mm.
or without doing something that later on you're going to regret. Because if you all remember the first time you were on a roller coaster,
Ugh,
Mhm.
you know, exactly.
my chest.
Exactly.
Yo, that's
Right.
man.
Right. And
Uh,
nobody judged you.
Mhm.
And nobody judged you.
mm,
Nobody even judged you. They let you have your moment. They let you have it. And then you were like, let's do it again.
Mhm.
mm.
And then by the third time you were like, I know where the camera is. We're gonna look at the camera, we're gonna scream, or we're gonna shoot deuces, or we're gonna do whatever
Mhm.
or whatnot, and that's how life is.
I never
What's
got
that?
that far.
He never
Never
got
got
that
that
far.
far?
He ain't
Nah,
taking no
nah, nah.
pictures.
I was like, I'll go
Uh.
again, but I'm not gonna like it. So if you see that
Well,
still frame, I was like, yeah, I was
Pictures.
like, yeah.
well, I had my first lesson with Splash Mountain, now Tiana's Bayou.
Mhm.
Um, and I say it's akin to that type of experience. There's a callback to predictability.
Mhm.
Mm,
There's a predictability that you can build by regularly expressing your emotions,
Right.
sitting in your emotions and feeling them and being like, hey, the last time I had this conversation with my wife about finances, like I got really agitated and I want to buy a new car. This
Mhm.
conversation is going to be uncomfortable. This conversation is going to be uncomfortable. Let me see what I can do,
Mhm.
you know, based on what I learned on how she reacted. And, it's a long path of like rapport building. You
Mhm.
do
yeah.
it with your family members the same way you do with your therapist.
Mhm.
I was laughing because I thought in the example you gave, Denny, you were like, you were trying to say, I am so frustrated with you right now. I'm gonna go buy a car. I'll be right back. I'm like, dang.
Not on Emmy's watch.
Everybody be like,
No,
screw you.
no.
Profit with that car because when you come back, you gonna need both. um, so last question I want to ask you, Denny, is let's say you're talking to a family member, a loved one, a brother, sister in arms, a coworker, and homie or homegirl needs help. They need
Mhm.
intervention. They're they're showing the signs, all the signs that you look for, but they're hesitant towards therapy because their culture told them that therapy was wrong. I know that something that's commonly said in the Caribbean is, why are you going to give a white man, presumably a white person, because
Mhm.
I think I looked it up today, only 4% of the psychologists in the United States are black
Mhm.
or brown, right?
Mhm.
And so the vast majority
Go
of the
to a
time,
social worker.
was that?
I said, go to a social worker.
Right. Okay. They're more social workers, right, than
Mhm.
psychologists.
Yeah.
So often our culture tells us that therapy, oftentimes, not, and hopefully we're shifting this paradigm, but
Mhm.
oftentimes we're told by our culture that therapy is wrong. It's a waste of time.
Mhm.
It's
Telling
time
people
bet
your problems.
right. That's
Mhm.
time better spent going to the altar and praying, or stop being a dumbass.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but
Hmm.
somebody who needs help. Somebody is struggling, but they're hesitant to engage in that level of intervention. What do you say to that person?
I tell them, listen, you've been trying to do it on your own, your way, and you're still struggling, and that's okay. We all try to find our own way to cope and to be able to push through. And it's very clear that you need help. Don't look at mental health as somebody psychoanalyzing you. Look at it as starting a conversation, a
Mm,
simple conversation about where you're struggling with someone that could provide you alternative options.
mm.
It's not it. People have this idea that, like, I'm gonna say, Vlad, lay down on that couch. I want you to tell me about when you were 5 years old and your
Mhm.
brother broke your crayons. And it's kind of like, dude, no, it's not that. Like, it's really a large part of what you talk about in therapy is dictated by you,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's really a conversation.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, when you said that, when I first started seeing my therapist, we were like strictly virtual. I never actually asked him after COVID if we could reconvene in person.
Mhm.
But sometimes I sat on that couch because he had a couch. I'm like, if you have a couch, I'm gonna sit on it because I
Mhm.
kind of don't want to be here, but I do want to be here. And I found myself just lying down on that mug, like that proverbial image that you get in
Mhm.
your mind of being a
Yeah.
therapist. But that came with safety, and like you
Yeah.
said, it's rapport building,
Yes.
and you build that same rapport with your clinician or your social worker or your peer led support group,
Mhm.
and you just feel comfortable, and you realize like, dang, I've been like this. I've been tense my entire life and on guard because everybody's trying to get me. If I let you in too much, you might take something from me. If I tell you too much information, you might tell it to the world. And then when you finally feel like you can finally relax and you're safe, it just starts flowing.
Mhm.
And I have family members, I have friends that are highly hesitant to therapy and intervention because of whatever misconception that
Mm.
they have, like you said,
Yeah.
Denny. And I often tell them, like, listen, if you want to go to therapy to be told what to do, then you shouldn't be going to
Mhm.
therapy. Maybe you should
Yes.
go to the army
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
go to basic training. If you want to be
Mhm.
told what to do, you're not going to have any shortage of that.
Mhm.
But it's about therapy goes wherever you want it to go. The trajectory is wherever you take it. And if
Mhm.
you decided it goes nowhere, then it goes nowhere. But yeah, like
Yeah.
it's
My
yeah.
favorite image of what therapy is, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's like the two people are sitting, the therapist and the patient, and then the patient's head bubble, the mind bubble or whatever, has like this giant ball of yarn and it's like different colors and it's all tangled. And then what the therapist does is takes that yarn and puts it in the categories. So it
Mm,
like organizes the mess that's going on in their brain, and I just love that analogy because that's literally what's happening. The therapist can't do anything unless you give them the information to
mm,
kind of help you go through it and organize it, right? And see why you're feeling the way you feel. But yeah, definitely. You have to be able to share. And I don't think it's one size fits all, right? You might have to quote, quote, start, I don't want to say dating around, but like
mm.
test different therapists. And
Shopping.
yeah, you have to shop for your perfect Timu dress per Denny, right? Like which dress is going to fit you the most, like which therapist is right for you so you can feel comfortable and open up and talk
Hmm.
um and be able to, get those thoughts in order. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
definitely, definitely. I think that people don't realize that you are allowed to shop
mhm.
your therapist. You can meet with one and be like, I don't like his voice.
Right.
You know, her 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 eyelashes were distracting, whatever it may be, and just and be okay with that. I promise you, us therapists are not gonna get offended if you
Mhm.
say, I don't think this is working. And even if you've had your therapist for some time and you feel like you're not making progress, it's okay to say, I think I need to transition into trying another therapist. You've brought me so far. Sometimes your therapist will break up with you, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
It means that they've gone as far as they feel like they can go with you, and they may recommend somebody else.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did that when I went to EMDR therapy. And even though I had this almost a decade relationship with my therapist, I was having a hard time telling him I don't think this is working for me right now
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I'm struggling with very specific flashbacks, and
Mm.
they're really intense.
Yeah.
And just talking about this in an unstructured way is not helping right
Right.
now. I feel like I need something more. And I said that with trepidation. I thought
Mhm.
homie was gonna say, "Well, fine," because if I was off, I have to remember. Okay, your therapist is not your mom. And
He's not my mama. He's not my mama.
right, like, he's not your mom. He's not gonna get mad at you. And
Mhm.
if you hurt, it's not
Mm.
about feeling. This is his job. And he
Mhm.
said, "You know what? That's great.
Yeah.
Do that. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. And I made more progress in actually I won't say more, but I made necessary progress
Mm-hmm.
in EMDR therapy that in a time frame that I would have never gotten through in years of talk therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just to your point, Denny, that just gives credence to being comfortable advocating for yourself. Like
Yeah.
you've already gotten this far and decided to go to therapy. Don't settle for something that's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I've had patients fire me all the time. And they're like, I know you're mad. I'm like, no, actually, I'm not. Like, I want you to be able to get what you need. Um, and big ups to you for trying EMDR. Um, as an EMDR therapist,
Mm-hmm.
um, it really opened up my eyes to how beautiful our brain is
Mm,
and how it plays this tape and it's trying to tell you to do something with the information. And EMDR does exactly that. It gives you the opportunity with a guide. It's like having Jiminy Cricket right there with you,
That would be my guide.
you know, and them saying like, okay, and it allows you to be able to kind of like it doesn't make it go away. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot like Angie was saying, it doesn't make it go away, but we help organize it and let it have its place. It's like having a Roomba vac in your house that is like broken and it's just like bumping into everything. And
Mm-hmm.
your therapist is gonna say, like, hey, I get it. Your Roomba vac is special to you. You love having it around the house, but it's scaring your pets and it knocked over your grandma. Let's
Yeah.
put it over here. Let's put it over
That's
here.
nice.
You know, it's kind of like your Roomba vac has a place, and and you get to have all the feelings that you have about it, and you know, you can choose to put it to the side and be able to enjoy the rest of your house without falling over.
mm.
Fair.
Mhm.
Didi, this has been so great.
Yeah, no, this
I
has been
Yeah, I have one last question. What
Mhm.
would you like to leave our Roots and Rhythm audience with? What little nugget of Dini do you want to leave for our viewers?
Give it to him.
Um, your mental health journey is your own. Your mental health journey is your own. You may have conversations with your friends and your family members about their walk and their path with their mental health journey and their medications and what it was that they took, and be open to the idea that your situation will be uniquely yours and you get to own it. You get to own it. You don't have to lean on, what your friend's experience was or even any of the stuff that we said. Go and find out for yourself, you know, what
Amen.
is it that makes you tick?
Hmm.
What is it that makes you tick? Why is it that you don't like the color red or what is it that pisses you off so much about your supervisor when they tell you to do something?
Hmm.
Go find out. You'll be surprised at how interesting and unique of a person God made you to be. And it may even be part of your gift.
I
Mm.
love it. I love it.
Yes.
Denny, if a person is watching this in the Roots and Rhythm community and they're like, hey yo, I want Denny to work with me. Or I want to know more about Denny. I want to get into where could they find you at? Where can people find out more about you?
Dhiny Mercedes, Dhiny Mercedes at on Psychology Today. You can always search for me there. You can actually even Google me as well. I have a couple of research projects that I did when I was in grad school, and that will lead to my Psychology Today as well.
And he also has his own company. What is it, Dini? Mind Frame? Am I saying that right?
Yes, you can also find me. You can also find my page on Instagram, Mindframe. Um, I'm building up my LLC, and once I am fully licensed, I will be available for the state of Florida, uh, Texas, and and New Jersey. And New Jersey. I have a colleague
Man,
that's licensed there that's helping me be able to make that happen.
my
Mm.
man, it's healing all over the world. I
Yes.
love it. And literally healing all over the world,
Mhm.
both as a clinician and as a brother, as a father, as a husband,
As a
and
soldier.
as a soldier. And
Yes.
man, your life is about service, and we are here for it, brother. Thank you so much for stopping by and edifying us, man,
Yes. Thank you,
and pouring into us.
Deodini.
Mm.
And for those of you who are watching this podcast, and you need help, please take advantage of the resources available. There is not
Yes.
a reason for you to do this alone. It will not happen alone. And bruh, tap into your Denny, tap into your networks, get connected. You already know what it is. Get in rhythm. It's your boy Vlad the Bull, your number one embrace coach.
Angie, let's say with mommy.
And
Dini, go ahead.
Oh, and Deanie. and Deanie.
we are out of here.
Stay rooted.
Yeah.